These people you have just seen have something in common. They were either carefully screened for approach by foreign agents or were the victims of unforeseen circumstances. They contributed to a serious security compromise of United States military information and were responsible for the success and promotion of this East European agent.
As you know, comrades, the award of this honor represents one of the highest tributes in our nation, but it is well deserved. For Colonel Asilov's dedicated efforts have provided our country with detailed information on the Americans' highly secret dead-eye weapon system, from the early design to the current deployment in Western Europe. The work of the Colonel and his staff over a period of 4 years has been so effective that we have been able to spend the last 18 months designing countermeasures against the system, with the result that the danger to us has now been virtually neutralized. What is more, the information has enabled us to build a similar weapon system against which the United States has currently no effective defense. And now, may I present Colonel Vladimir Asilov. Thank you. But I must tell you from the very beginning that I owe my success to others. So I would like to offer a toast to gullible Americans in general and to those in the United States Army in particular.
Today, as you all know, the Espionage School is indeed fortunate to be addressed by the well-known Colonel Asilov, whose recent work provides many examples of the way espionage may be effectively conducted. Our time is limited, so here now is Colonel Asilov.
Thank you very much. Good morning. I suspect that many of you imagine that a major espionage campaign is planned in every detail from the very beginning. Sometimes, yes, but more often it evolves quite accidentally from bits and shreds of information that we must be constantly on the alert for. For example, the Deadeye project began only when some agent pursuing routine opportunity in some place near a base in the southern part of the United States became friendly with a soldier in a bowling alley.
Hey, soldier! Another beer says you can't make that spare.
Man, you sure like to play long shots.
They have bowling alleys for you guys over at the base?
No way.
You must work at that fancy laboratory over there.
No, I'm just shuffling papers at the personnel office till my transfer comes through.
Ah, I see. Hey, maybe you could help me. I'm here for a week trying to sell insurance to your buddies and some of the... No, wait a minute. I'm not trying to sell you any, but it would save a hell of a lot of time if I could get a telephone directory of the base.
Well, that's no problem. They're all over the place.
I could really use one of those organizational charts they give out, too. So as I know who's got the bucks around here, huh? Say, I might be able to sell you some insurance after all. Huh?
Oh, no.
Hey, 2 more beers over here, huh?
You see, sometimes things which are not classified can be of considerable ultimate value.
Many personnel are not aware that the information they know or have access to could possibly have any intelligence value. But by comparing these apparently harmless documents to earlier ones in our possession, we could see that a new weapons research effort involving a substantial number of personnel had begun. We were also able to learn who the key technical personnel were. The next step was to make contact with one of the important electronic engineers on the project. After observing this man's lifestyle, we decided to use his interest in music and sound systems as the basis of our approach at a local trade show.
I see you're admiring that system.
Yeah, that's a beautifully engineered piece.
I know. I have the European build version.
You do?
Very fine, but I can't get the parts here. Do you collect records also?
Yeah, mostly old jazz classics.
Really?
Uh-huh.
So do I.
You do?
Yeah, in fact, I've been looking for someone that might want to trade with me.
You know what? You have come to the right man.
Check this thing over here.
Yeah.
Slowly, we cultivated the friendship with favors and visits until confidence was established.
See you. Listen, I brought you a little something for our after-dinner enjoyment.
Oh, yeah, what you got here, man? You'll see. Hey, it's a 1932 version, man. You found it. I've been trying to get this for years. Wow. That must have cost you plenty, Carl.
Oh, I got it in the trade. But it's a gift.
Oh, come on.
Yes.
Hey, man, that's great, Carl. Ooh, you know, that's the second great record you got for me. Now, isn't there anything I can get for you?
Well, other than the complete set of the Yerba Buena 5, you mean?
All right.
Actually, Jim, there is something now that you mention it. I used to have 2 Army electronics manuals that were very useful references, and they seem to have been misplaced when I moved my office. I could reorder them through the office, but it would take forever.
Well, if they're not classified and you have the numbers, I'll be able to track them down for you.
Could you do that?
Sure.
That'd be great. That'd really be good.
I'd be glad to.
Thank you. Hello, Jim.
How are you,
Glad you
Carl?
could make it. Pretty good.
Good to see you.
Same here. Got the manuals?
Right here.
Ah. You having any trouble getting them?
No problem at all. Take a look at that.
Wonderful. Wonderful. That's wonderful, Jim. And I insist on paying you for it.
This is my gift this time,
No,
Carl.
you don't understand. You see, I can charge this to my company as a business expense because they usually purchase manuals of this kind. If you sign a receipt for me, I'll be reimbursed. It's silly not to. Besides, you can pay for lunch if you insist on it.
Okay, man. It's no sweat to me. Here you go.
Thank you. There you are.
You know, you're funny.
Oh, by the way, I've got a record you have to listen to.
Oh, yeah, another one?
Beautiful, yeah.
What you got this time?
Well, I'm trying to track down the Yerba Buena 5.
Where do you get your records?
In this way, the engineer was slowly entrapped, but it took months before we were ready to spring the trap.
What are we stopping here for, Carl?
I want to talk to you privately about a problem I've been having in my business. I think you can help me with it.
Name it.
The project you told me you were working on, did I?
Mm-hmm.
I need some information about it. Detailed information.
But that's classified. That's highly secret. You'd be well paid. But I couldn't tell anybody. Even my wife. You should know that, Carl.
I see. Well, in that case, you better prepare yourself to lose your job and spend quite a number of years in prison as a result of these.
How did you get these?
That's immaterial. The point is, you don't want them seen by your security people, especially when I tell them these were classified manuals you were selling for money to a foreign power.
Who the hell are you anyway?
Oh, I'm well known to your people, so they will be inclined to believe my side of the story. Oh, by the way, I have diplomatic immunity, so I cannot be prosecuted here. You, on the other hand, have a great deal to lose by not cooperating. I'm not asking for much, really. Just some background information on the project. And you'll be well paid for it.
He decided to cooperate with us and was very useful. Up to this time, he has not been exposed, for we may want to use him again.
Colonel Asloff, may I ask why the engineer did not go to his superiors as soon as he realized what was happening?
This is a risk we always take. But as we went along, this man's personality suggested to us that he was a very insecure individual. You see, unwilling to risk his future. So, it is almost always through exploitation of personal weaknesses and needs that we have the opportunity to gain a foothold. So, we must always be alert for these things. You understand me? Our next break came some months later at the United States base in the West, where prototypes were being tested.
I told you I don't have it. There's just not enough money.
If you didn't gamble us all away, there'd be plenty. That loan was supposed to help us, but you went out and bought that damn Cadillac with it. Now I can dress the kids in rags and drive them to school in style.
I'm leaving now, woman, because if I stay, you're going to get hurt.
Hurry. You'll miss your crap game.
Our contact was Sergeant John Franklin, a compulsive gambler chronically in debt, but with a taste for high living. Such people are always promising. We got his name from an informant at a local loan company, where Franklin was defaulting on a loan he had taken.
Come on, baby. Hey, Shaker! Hello, boy. All right. That cleans me out. You and me both.
Made out like clean here. Made out like
Well, you sure bet on the wrong man tonight, my friend.
Maybe not. Listen, one of the guys said that you work over at the incoming warehouse at the post.
So?
A lot of expensive equipment passing in and out of your office, right? Oscilloscopes, encoders.
Yeah.
Well, I know people willing to pay for some of that stuff.
Yeah, I'm with you so far.
Once established, we let the relationship with Franklin go on until we had him dependent on us.
And baby, there's lots more where that came from. Your daddy has a system now that just won't quit.
Oh.
Where's the rest?
That's it, I was lucky to get that. They don't want any more stuff for a while.
Hey, man, I was counting on it.
Listen, I've got another angle now that's worth even more.
Oh, yeah?
They're willing to pay for some technical manuals on something called Dead Eye System. Can you get them?
Yeah, man, but that's classified.
So?
So it's my tail that's on the line.
The other stuff was risky, too. That's what you're getting paid for.
Yeah, but this is different.
What can I tell you? That's the only stuff they're willing to pay for right now.
How much will it
We did not have to coerce Franklin further. But remember, once a source allows himself to be led into an illegal act,
What do you think?
our power over him exists, whether we use it or not. The need for money, either from greed or deep indebtedness, is the most common reason for Americans selling state secrets. You see, One of the evils of capitalist societies is that it makes people often willing to do anything for profit. But money is not always the prime motivation. Sometimes discontent and revenge can be just as powerful. Jack Rhodes felt trapped and tortured and had started drinking heavily when he attracted the attention of one of our female agents near his post.
Can you believe this? I was all set for this great job in Germany. I was going to be married to this gorgeous German chick, and then the roof fell in.
What happened?
The new boss took one look at my girl and decided he wanted to have her for himself.
Well, how do you know that?
I had to be. Right away, he starts giving me all kinds of red tape about getting married to a foreigner because of my security clearance. And then, while all that's going on, I get long TDY orders sending me to this hellhole without any explanation. I had to take it.
Did you try to do anything?
Of course I did. Everybody was against me. I didn't get anywhere. If the damn army had a neck, I'd wring it for them.
So you had to leave without her?
Yeah, I had to. She's probably over there having a ball, and I'm stuck here in charge of this stupid Deadeye project in the middle of nowhere.
You know, this place isn't so bad once you get used to it. I know a party we can go to later, if you want.
The combination of Rhodes' Deadeye assignment and his disaffection made us step up our efforts, and he was soon offered the chance to sell information on the capabilities of the weapons system.
They said they already had that last piece of information, so they couldn't pay you much for it.
That's okay. This money's just gravy as far as I'm concerned. It's just nice to know I'm getting back at the Army for what they did to me.
Unfortunately, Rhodes was such an unstable character, he soon gave himself away. But not before we had what we wanted from him.
Colonel Ossiloff, are there ever cases in which an American agrees to cooperate purely on an ideological basis?
Few, very, very few military personnel have ever done so. It is too bad because they've apparently been so debased by the capitalist system that they have no idea how much better our way of life is. Fortunately, it is not necessary for our purposes. Though we now knew virtually everything about the design and operation of Deadeye, it was essential to know how it would be used in a division and where it was being deployed.
Cholio, you've got a light?
Sure.
Thank you. Hey, you look familiar. Aren't you in the 1st Battalion, 162nd Artillery?
Right.
I used to know some guys there. I'm in artillery too. West German Army.
Well, sit down. Have a beer.
Dankeschön.
Fräulein, noch ein Bier bitte?
You know, a friend of mine used to tell me that you guys get shafted here with bad equipment while my army is getting the most modern stuff.
Hell no. We got the best.
Like what? The old howitzers, huh?
No, sir. We got something called Deadeye that's fantastic. You got that?
I heard about it. But no one is supposed to have it for a long time.
Hell, we got 3 in our battery, and it's the same in the rest of the unit.
Hey, we're not supposed to be talking about that stuff.
Now, come on.
While this kind of data is certainly worth collecting wherever possible, we were at the same time trying to gain access to the overall European strategy for Deadeye employment. We knew that key information was secured in this USERA headquarters office, but there was no way to penetrate it. Americans are noted for their laxity in observing security regulations, such as safe combinations and locks. But even with that working to our advantage, we had to find someone on the inside. Finally, we decided to try and entrap this whack, who was single and known to be lonely.
Are you all right?
I'm fine.
Here you go.
The agent we assigned to meet her was a specialist in the romantic approach and posed as an American working for a large international firm. Their relationship developed rapidly, and before long there was talk of marriage. At this point, she was ready to be hooked.
There's no other choice. I have to go on a business trip over to East Berlin again next week. If you can get some time, I'd like you to come.
Sure. It sounds like fun.
Yeah? Well, yeah. Well, I'm kind of tied up. Well, couldn't somebody else handle it? Okay. I'll be there.
Something wrong?
Looks like I have to stay until Tuesday. You'll have to go back alone.
Oh. Well, that's all right, I guess.
Do a little favor for me?
Anything.
Good. I want you to take something back with you and drop it at my office. If someone's coming all the way from Oslo and expects to pick it up Monday.
Sure, I don't mind.
Thanks.
On her way out of East Berlin, we arranged for her to be detained by the security authorities. The package, of course, contained photographs of East German military installations.
I've told you over and over again. I gave her the film to take out for me. It was a stupid thing to do. But she is completely innocent in this.
You may be telling the truth. Nevertheless, you are both now in a great deal of trouble. You may go.
I'm sorry, Susan.
I had him brought here so you could see for yourself that he admits to being a spy for the West. We have had him under surveillance for quite some time now. With his record, it is unlikely that you will ever see him again. Unless...
Unless what?
Unless you cooperate with us.
How?
Our investigation into your background indicates that you have access to many classified documents. If you could manage to obtain for us certain of these documents, I believe I could arrange to have you and your fiancée released. Of course, you understand that we would continue to hold him here until we receive the information from you.
I'll be back in a minute.
Of course, she eventually realized it was a trick, but by then she thought she was in too deep to get out. She provided much valuable data until recently when, unfortunately, she committed suicide. Certain basic principles run through all of these successful contacts. Innocent situations are set up to build confidence. Incriminating evidence is established, and then the noose is tightened. But never be too sure of yourself. As deeply as these Americans were involved, they still could have saved themselves and the information by reporting the situation to their security people. You must keep working to convince them that it is too late for that.
Colonel, it amazes me that Americans can still be tricked by these kinds of approaches. Aren't there any military regulations to give them guidance?
Of course. Their security regulations and indoctrinations require military and civilian personnel to report any suspected instance of foreign intelligence activity immediately.
Then why aren't these regulations observed?
Let us all be thankful, comrade, that they are not. It may be hard for us to understand, but Americans are a very trusting people with strangers. They do not believe such things can happen to them and do not recognize them when they do. Of course, some are willing to report, but frequently they don't exactly know how and don't want to look foolish, so they forget the whole thing.
So this guy kept buying me drinks and asking me questions about the unit. What weapons we had, where we were going on maneuvers, stuff like that.
Well, maybe he wants to join.
Yeah.
You can change places with him.
It's not funny. Later I saw him talking to another guy, and it looked like he was giving him what he wanted to know.
Pulaski, you just blew your chance to get out.
Colonel, do you mean this is ignored, even when Americans see it happening right around them?
Yes, and this occurs for a very interesting reason. You see, Americans somehow are reluctant to expose their fellows, to squeal on them, that's what they call it, even though what they do may result in disaster for all. Don't try to understand it. Just be glad it's there and we can exploit it.
But, Colonel, 4 years of espionage on this project could not have been that easy. Surely there were troubles and setbacks.
Certainly. Before finding roads, we were making very little progress. So, we tried the false flag approach on a retired sergeant of Middle Eastern origin.
Why did you follow me all the way out here? It would not be advisable for either of us to be seen talking in the vicinity of your home. You see, we are both brothers of the same soil. And I know you owe an obligation to your own people as well as to your adopted land. So, we know you oppose our common enemy, and rightly so. Now you have an opportunity to help us against them.
How is that?
You have many friends assigned to the Deadeye Project. We know that our enemy will be receiving the weapons system, and we must know its capabilities before it is turned against our homeland.
I see.
If you could obtain certain technical manuals of the system, you will be doing your people a great favor. You're known and trusted on the posts, and being retired, you can move there freely without suspicion. Will you help us?
I am sympathetic to your cause. But the only thing I can do for you is to tell you to get the hell out of here. This country has been too good to me to deserve a stab in the back.
The sergeant turned out to be much more loyal than we thought. But fortunately for us, his sympathies ran deep enough that he did not report the approach. Later, another opportunity arose when we learned that a German-born woman whose American husband had access to information we wanted was visiting her sick mother in East Germany.
Would you mind telling me what this is all about? Am I under arrest?
Of course not. We simply wish to indicate that we are extremely sympathetic concerning your mother's illness and your efforts to get her an exit visa to the West. They usually take years to obtain, but we could expedite matters considerably in return for a small favor.
What favor?
We need certain information that your husband has access to.
I see. want me to have him spy for you?
I would prefer to think of it as a simple exchange of services.
I'll have to discuss it with him.
Of course, Mrs. Kramer. You'll be contacted again at home within the week. Now, if you'll be good enough to sign this standard form attesting that you came here voluntarily, you will not visit.
No. Not signing anything.
As you wish. You may go now, Mrs. Kramer. You should keep in mind, however, that if you choose not to cooperate with us, things for your mother could take a turn for the worse.
This woman knew how to handle herself. She remained non-committal, signed nothing, and immediately reported the incident to military intelligence on her return. Despite our threats, these people realized that going to their authorities was the best thing to do before it was too late. For us, that represents a failure.
Colonel Asilov, what about the risks of being set up and trapped by U.S. counterintelligence people in these situations?
Yes. That, in fact, happened during this operation. We lost 2 excellent agents, as well as suffering great damage to our net. The entire Deadeye effort nearly had to be aborted. There is always a danger from United States counterintelligence, but remember, their work depends very much on the prompt reporting of our approaches by the target personnel, which usually doesn't happen. The only time we can get in trouble is if the target does what the security regulations tell him to do. Go quietly to military intelligence or to his security officer and let them take over. Many times, though, the target will have talked about the incident with so many people beforehand that it is almost impossible for United States counterintelligence to set up a covert operation against us. Some of the victims even try to investigate and play counter-spy themselves, usually with disastrous results. But espionage in the United States is getting more difficult these days. I must warn you, the operations of so many radicals and international terrorist groups in recent years have made Americans increasingly security conscious. But as long as some Army personnel continue to ignore their own security regulations, we have really nothing to worry about.
What are you working on now, Colonel?
Well, when you will graduate, my dear, you may be one of those chosen to work with me. Then you will know.
Hello. I'm a student making a survey of Army life for a magazine here in Heidelberg. You may have 2 free dinners at any restaurant of your choice by merely answering a couple of questions for me. May I come in?